This is the Navigating Adult ADHD podcast, here to help you navigate and thrive with ADHD in adulthood. I'm your host, Zena, and I was diagnosed at age 36. As with many ADHDers, I have a rebellious and nonconformist style, and that means that there will likely be swearing in the coming episode. Please be mindful of any little people. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast, where today we're going to talk about struggling when you get diagnosed with ADHD and all that means and all of the emotions that come with it. So before we dive in, I just want to ask you or remind you, if you've got a friend with ADHD who could benefit from hearing this podcast, please send them the link so that they too can get the help, support, and love that we would like to give them. So if you are struggling with your ADHD diagnosis, you are not alone. So just this week, I have had 3 conversations with 3 different women who are struggling to make sense of it all. And kind of gutted about the delay in getting diagnosed and now having to figure it all out and, unlearn or unravel all of the techniques that they have been using to survive. Feeling like they've been battling for so long and often thinking about what life could have been like if they were diagnosed earlier. All of these hobbies I've had and started and stopped, it's just crazy. And, thinking back on education, like what would it have been like if I was actually able to study? Would I have got better grades? Would I have gone to college? Would I have done something different? Would I, be making more money? Would I, all of these like what ifs, right? If I had stuck with this sport that I was really good at, what could that have been like? Would my life be completely different? Some of you are kicking yourself, going in circles about, why you weren't diagnosed sooner and what life could or should have been like, and feeling sorry for yourself for, not knowing sooner and having to struggle for so long. My friends, I see you and I am sending you the biggest hug. When I was at my psychiatrist's office and she's asking me a shit ton of questions about, my life and my childhood, and finally she said to me, okay, well, you definitely have ADHD. In that moment, I cried. And it was so much relief. And it was also this kind of confirmation. Yeah, I am fucking different. I knew it. I was right. It was such a mix of emotions in that moment. And there is so much comfort in knowing you are a normal zebra and not a strange horse. Hence the relief. And that was how I felt in that moment. Relief, comfort. But later came some grief. And I was describing it to somebody the other day and I said, it's kind of like you've been forced to use your left hand your entire life, only to learn that you are actually right-handed. So now you're kind of pissed off that you didn't know this sooner. And you're annoyed at the others who, maybe did know or had different experiences. And you're thinking about how your life could have been if you had known, well, actually, no, you're right-handed. Like, would it have been easier? Would I have been able to do different things? And now that you've got to go and build your right hand muscles up, so you've got to learn how to use your right hand again because you've been using your left and you've got to stop doing that. But that feels weird and hard and confusing. Like it's a bunch of fuckery. I love to swear. So if you're grieving for what your life could have been like, if you are struggling to wrap your head around it and kicking yourself about all the things that, could have been different if only you'd known sooner, please pause, please take a breath, and we're going to talk about this, okay? Big breath, in and out. Now, I love you, and if this is you, you're practically punching yourself in the face right now, okay? All of your feelings are welcome here. I want you to know that. I always say that to my clients on a call. All of you and whatever you bring is welcome. All your feelings, everything. And let's also talk about how to shift your focus to something that serves you better. Now that you know you've got ADHD, welcome to the club. Let's shift your focus to something that serves you better and helps you to move forward. Okay, because going over and over in your mind is much like, seeing a bruise on your skin and then jabbing it repeatedly. My dad liked to do shit like that growing up. He'd be like, "Oh, you got a bruise. Does it hurt?" And he'd push it. It's like, yes, it does when you do that. But ultimately, that's kind of what we're doing to ourselves when we're going over and over the what if scenarios in our head. It ain't helping to heal. Okay? So when I say stop doing it, that's generally not very useful, right? We know that as ADHDers, we've been told our whole lives, just try harder, just do this, right? Not very useful. But think about it like this. If I was to tell you not to think about a horse, what do? You're thinking about a horse, right? I would be. I am, right? But if I was to tell you instead of focusing on the horse, I want you to think about a pink elephant. Like I've given you something else to do and to focus on, right? That gives your mind something that sounds, way more interesting. Let's do that. And guess what? Our brains love interesting. In case you didn't already know, as ADHDers, we have an interest-based nervous system. What that means is we don't give a shit about how important or something is, right? We don't prioritize things in order of importance like most people do. No, we like to do things that are interesting and novel and new and fun and, the kind of challenge that we like to pursue, right? Our interest-based nervous system means we prioritize things and do things in order of what's interesting to us, what we want to do. The key there is want. Okay, so really good to know. So I'm going to give you your pink elephant to think about, and we're going to explore that, okay? Now, the simple truth here is that you've been operating from the wrong user manual for most of your life, right? You were programmed with neurotypical software, and now we know that you are neurodivergent. Now, this is great for two reasons. Great news. Number one is there's a shitload of crossover, okay? We do a lot of things in the same or similar ways that, neurotypical people do. So that's great. That's one of the reasons. And the other reason this is great news is now that we know this, we can begin to learn and program some of the neurodivergent systems into us in order to operate even better. Okay? Now, I also get that this can be super overwhelming. And guess what? You guessed it. Overwhelm is actually more common for people with ADHD to experience. And why is that? Because of our nervous system being wired differently. So as people with ADHD, we take in more information from the world around us through our 5 senses. So I'm sitting here in my office right now and I'm staring at my notes for this, as well as I've got the GarageBand recording the audio for you all. And even as I'm starting to say this and starting to do this activity and think about my 5 senses, like I just heard a car drive past and I can see, the flowers and the window and the blowing trees and everything out the corner of my eye. There is a lot of stuff distracting me when I start to pay attention to it. So as ADHDers, we are constantly seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching more from the world around us. Now, we are quite accustomed to doing this, but what we may not be aware of is because we take in more information through our senses, our brain then has to do more work. It has to process that information and say, is that car that just drove past, is that a threat? Is that flashing thing that just whizzed past the window? Do I need to pay attention to that? Should I be doing something with that? And our brain is constantly in the background deciding what to do with all of this information that we're taking on, how to process it, where to file it if we need to action it. Okay? That is why in certain situations you may be really overstimulated, whether that be, at a concert or at a party. I don't like parties myself. I've now figured out that it's because there's too much stimulation, there's too much happening, too much to take in and figure out and navigate. Okay? So we can get overwhelmed. All of that to say, we can get overwhelmed easily. And, when we find out we have ADHD and all the different things, that can be very overwhelming. Okay? Like learning, what it means to have ADHD and how to work with it rather than, fighting against it, as we have been doing for a lot of our lives without knowing, it can be very overwhelming. There are so many different things that you can buy, all the different fidgety options, right? Books you can read, options that your family and friends give you or tell you about, or apps that you could download, or, Google and ChatGPT is full of recommendations. So where do you start? What's actually going to work? What's the most important? Yeah. Okay, let's all just take a collective breath. Okay, now if you are anything like me and all of the women who have ADHD that I work with, you have been living your life in a constant state of fight or flight, anxious around the clock. So let's just take another breath and slow our nervous system down, okay? Good, well done. Back to the pink elephant. What is possible for the rest of your life? If you've been in survival mode and struggling for the past 40 years and you've just learned that you have ADHD, what's possible for the next 40 years? Like imagine you spend 40 years with crappy eyesight and you've just got glasses. Like holy shit, it's a whole new world. So many possibilities have, now entered your eyesight. They're available to you. You can see clearly. You can understand things better. You experience even more joy than before. That is what is possible for you now. Now, sometimes it takes a little while to get that prescription right, to find the glasses that fit your face well and give you the best possible experience. The same is true for ADHD. It takes time for us to find the best medication for our unique bodies and to create support systems and structures in our life that enable us to finally thrive. Now, when I say thrive, I really fucking mean it, okay? I know some of you struggle with that. You're like, is that really possible? It sounds like a fairy tale. No, I am here as living proof to tell you that with the right support, it really is available to you. And that is where I want you to spend your pink elephant time. And when I say pink elephant time, right, I want you to focus on what is possible for you now. When you start medication, when you work with a coach or a therapist, when your relationships begin to improve, when you make new friends, when you're able to focus at work, when you're able to eat 3 meals a day and take care of your health, when you're able to sit down and study and do your writing, when you're able to interrupt your procrastination and dramatically reduce your anxiety, I'll tell you what's possible. You're going to feel better. You're going to achieve your goals. Your relationships are going to get better. You're going to do better at work. You are going to enjoy your life more. That is what's waiting for you right now. Now that you're diagnosed, it is finally within reach. Okay? So I want you to play with and imagine what is possible. What could the next 40 years of your life be like now that you finally know you were just operating with the wrong software? That's all. Let's install the correct software. Let's make some tweaks and adjustments. Hey, did you know that as ADHDers, we make great entrepreneurs? I was very happy to learn that. I'd already gone down the path. And I was like, oh, great. Even more confirmation. Maybe you always wanted to start your own business. Great. Like my friend, the best of your life hasn't even happened yet. The best is yet to come. This is just the beginning. Literally, this is just the beginning. It's no accident that you have ADHD. We are the creative thinkers. We are the people who take risks and think outside the box. We are the kind and caring, empathetic people of the world. We are the ones who rebel and question the status quo and create change. We are the people who do well under pressure. We are different. And difference is what adds color and flavor to the world we live in. So, my friend, what is possible for you now? Imagine with me. Years ago, when I was looking for help, I desperately wanted to feel better. I wanted to stop procrastinating and sabotaging myself all the time. And, I was avoiding my goals. I'll be honest, at that point in my life, I hated myself. I couldn't even look in the mirror. I went to the doctor and crazily, wonderfully enough, I was prescribed life coaching sessions by my doctor. And with the help of coaching and loads of hours of research and study centered around neuroscience and psychology and ADHD and mindset, I figured that shit out. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm sharing this podcast with you all. And it's the reason I became a coach and why I created my program, Thrive, to help other women with ADHD. Now, if you want to hear about my program, stay right here. Otherwise, this is your opportunity to click through to the next episode, my friend. Okay? Thrive is my 12-week coaching program where I personally teach and coach you on how to accept and understand your ADHD and how to learn to use your neurodivergent brain, how to operate it so you can get shit done and finally create the success and happiness that you've been working so hard on. I see you. You've been working fucking hard. Right? That Thrive is a simple and easy approach to ADHD that has helped women all over the world. So if you're ready to become someone who figures out their ADHD, then I invite you to join me for a free ADHD life audit call. Okay? Where you and we hop on Zoom together and we walk through exactly how ADHD is affecting your life. And we'll talk about how coaching with me inside my Thrive program will help you interrupt your procrastination, manage your emotions, reduce your anxiety, get organized, manage your time, and ultimately get your shit together, achieve your goals personally and professionally, and finally, as I said, create the success and the happiness that you deserve. I want that for you. Visit zenajones.com/thrive to sign up for that free call and start today. You don't have to do this alone. In fact, it's a shitload easier and way more fun with someone by your side, with me by your side. Okay? I'll see you soon. Huge love, my friends. Hey, friend. I know exactly what it's like to feel frustrated and confused with your ADHD. And to wish that you could better understand what the hell is going on in your brain. And that's exactly why I created my coaching program, Thriving with ADHD. Inside Thriving with ADHD, you learn a step-by-step process to set and finally achieve your goals, to understand yourself and your ADHD. It's where you learn to feel better and manage your emotions and create systems and processes that work for you with your ADHD brain. This is designed for you to learn how to thrive with ADHD so you can create the life that you were meant to live. Visit zenajones.com/ADHD to learn more and book a consultation.